Kia ora, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Untidy. My name is Hannah Davison, mother of two, podcaster, author, co-founder of My Big Moments, etc., etc., etc. You know the thing. No dogs in the house today for once at the moment. First. Yeah, also dog sitter, guys. So, usually surrounded by
I've
dogs.
got 4, so...
Oh, yeah, that's my peak.
Though.
My peak is 4, but prefer to keep the levels lower than that. But 2 coming later, so they're on their way.
Oh my God.
And I'm here with my radiant lob sporting co-host.
Yes, thank you. My name is Matilda Green. I'm a mother of 3 and I've got a fresh lob, and I do talk about it a lot, and it is sort of becoming my personality. And at school drop-off this morning, people were like, loving the lob. I was like, thanks. And it was just this really big lob moment, it's really exciting.
It's looking pretty high this morning. You've really...
Thank you. I did style it.
I never used that word, but it looks great.
Thank you. I did style it, especially for today. So anyway, there are some new voices on the podcast. So today we're joined by siblings Rosa Power and Margo Flanagan from Two Raw Sisters, who have built a huge following with their incredible cookbooks and recipes, workshops, podcast, and their Two Raw Sisters app. So Margo and Rosa have carved a niche for themselves as New Zealand's go-to when it comes to plant-first meals and healthy living, helping people make healthy eating feel a whole lot more realistic, which I'm so on board with. And I think what people love about their approach is that it's not about perfection, punishment, or spending like 5 hours meal prepping on a Sunday. It's just simplifying wellness, reducing food stress, and figuring out how to actually nourish ourselves in the middle of busy, messy real life. And beyond that, they're also just incredible businesswomen. So we're so excited to have you guys on the pod today. Welcome.
Thanks. What an intro.
I know.
Say, do you want to write my business mission? Yeah, that was good.
Well, I will send you what we wrote afterwards. Feel free to use it however you please.
Okay. Look forward to seeing that in some VO content. Yeah.
Sometimes the intro is actually worth turning up for. Everyone's just like, damn, I feel great after that.
I know. And I'm reading that and I'm thinking, should I have done that? Oh, I've done that too.
And then you're like, I've actually got a lot on, as it turns out, when you put it like that.
Oh, no, thank you. That was very, very lovely. A lovely intro.
Well, and I will say, to identify voices, that was Rosa.
Yeah.
Margo, you just identify yourself as well. I don't think we've done this with 4 people.
I am Margo. We've actually got quite similar voices.
Yeah, you do, don't you? So that's just going to be the fun challenge for the listener, being like, oh, I wonder which one is saying what. And that's just the fun of it. That's just the fun of a podcast.
That's
people have no idea who's speaking when, and you're just going to have to figure that out for yourselves.
and I suppose a fun challenge as interviewers is that we're supposed to make that clear, but, let's make it more fun and not do that. I think what strikes me about your business is that I'm like, well, Rosie, you've got a child now, you're running a business, you guys, and it's based on cooking well and eating well and food. And I'm like, it's hard to actually run a business and actually have time for the food, but you're locked into that.
Yeah, and I feel like it's one of those things, people just overcomplicate it and they overthink it, and then by the time they've thought about it or thought what they're going to make or thought about how little time they have, they could have whipped up a breakfast for the week in 5 to 10 minutes. And people always ask, how do you do it? And it's like, well, it's actually so simple. And once you start, you realize the benefits and how great you feel. Simply making my breakfast on a Sunday, 10 minutes it takes. And what I love as well is that what I eat, my husband eats, Henrietta eats. And I don't have to think about it for the rest of the week. And we get up, we have breakfast together, and it's one less thing to think about in the mornings.
Oh, so it's all about food confidence, I think, is a lot of us don't have the education or the confidence to do what Rosa has just said.
Okay. Just before I move on to the actual question I've got planned, what is that breakfast that you refer to?
Lots. We normally rotate, like I'll do a baked oats one week and like...
Wait. How do you... So what do you mean baked oats? How do you bake it?
Have you never had baked oats before?
No, never.
Girl, we need to get you on the app.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we need to get them on the app, Marg.
We'll
so
put the
baked-
link in the show notes.
Baked oats are awesome for many reasons. Margo and I, we travel a lot. We've had a couple of experiences where we've had overnight oats through the bag. Not a great time. Never again. Baked oats, it's essentially the same thing. You chuck everything in a bowl as if you're making your overnight oats, and you put it in like a loaf tin or a slice tin, and you bake it in the oven at like 180 for about 30 minutes. And it's awesome because you then just slice it up into portions and you can freeze it. It lasts in your freezer for up to 7 days. And I can have a bigger portion. Henrietta can have a smaller portion. I can cut it up into little pieces that she can grab, and I'll put some yogurt, fruit, hemp seeds, nut butter on top. And it's just really easy. And you can just change it up depending on what you've got in your fridge at the time, what's in your pantry.
Awesome. Would you say they don't get as messy as overnight oats when we're talking kid breakfast?
Yeah, chia seeds and kids don't.
And even like you can.
I have learned that so many. It's just like all the recipe books are like chia pudding, chia seeds, and I'm like, no, we've all tried it. We all hate it. We're not doing chia pudding for little children.
Everywhere. I think Margo was looking after Henrietta on the weekend. She got a fright at how much mess this little 1.5-year-old makes as she makes her way around during the day, especially around food.
Just quickly though, like how cute is 1.5? Like it's just,
we've got the tantrums starting early.
Yep.
2-year-old tantrums. We're just going through that big phase and lots of mum hugs when we just can't pull ourselves together. But no, she's so fun.
So much to learn for them.
I know. And that's what you keep reminding yourself. You're like, they're just discovering. They're just figuring it out.
They don't know a thing.
Yeah.
It's just so much.
But no, she loves her baked oats. And if I've got a bit more time, I'll do baked oats because they require the oven and 30 minutes to cook. Not that it's very hands-on it's not hands-on at all when it's in the oven. Or if I've got 5 minutes, that's when the overnight oats are super handy because it literally takes 5 minutes to put it in a bowl, mix it together. Or a porridge, which I'll still make in advance and just heat up in the morning in the microwave or in the pot.
Wow.
All right.
God, we're only 8 minutes in and I've already learned a really great thing about
if you think about how much time it takes you to, make that, not that you probably think every day you have to make that decision, you are subconsciously making that decision of what's for breakfast for every single person in your family. And then by the time you think about that decision and then you get everything out and make it, and that requires time and mess as well that you've then got to clean up. Whereas if you've got something like your baked oats or your overnight oats in the fridge ready to go and we just pull everything out with the yogurt, the fruit, and we all just make our own breakfast up and it's done. And just chuck it all back in the fridge for tomorrow.
That's so good because I have sort of got myself into this predicament and we've already started going way off. But anyway, I have...
we haven't even had the first question.
We literally haven't even
relevant stuff though.
Yeah,
it's all good.
And the predicament is that maybe if you guys have multiple kids one day, you might do this as well. When I have started asking them what they want, and now some mornings it's 3 different things, and I'm like, I can't be making poached eggs on toast and then porridge for you and then someone else is having, like, this is just getting out of hand. And so now I've had to claw it back and be like, I'm choosing one thing and that's what we're having, and it's just becoming this big drama and everyone's like, but I want choice, and I'm like, oh my god, this is just, why did I start with choice?
And that's where you could even, they on the app, for example, if your kids are at this age and stage, they can actually get them, all of them, to choose 2 options, and you could make 2 overnight oats, or you could do an overnight oats and a baked oats in the fridge, and that could last you until Wednesday. And then they've actually got 2 options, like, do you want this one or this one? And then
they're already done.
Yeah. And then Thursdays rolled around, Wednesdays rolled around, and you might do a midweek breakfast prep on Wednesday night. Yeah. And they then choose another 2 options.
Only take 10 minutes to whip it all together.
Yeah. It's not that difficult, is it? God,
It's really not.
This is awesome.
Yeah, I think sometimes you build it up in your head that it's going to take longer than it actually does. I think that's part of the obstacle that sometimes just getting into a new habit you need to overcome. You're like, this might not take as long as I think it will.
Where Mark said the food confidence, like you just make that, right, we need to prep our breakfast for the next 2 days. Like I'm going to go do it right now in the kitchen. It's going to take me 10 minutes. And you get on with it and you do it and it's done. Yeah. Rather than contemplating and thinking, do I have time? What do I want to make? I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
okay. Well, should we get into our first question?
Yeah. Well, I'll direct this one at Margo. Why not? So you guys are sisters. You've built this incredible business together over the years. Have you always been close?
Oh, good question. Yes and no. I think every sister relationship goes through some sort of rough patch, but I would say it was when we both hit rock bottom with our health issues that we became quite close and became quite understanding of each other. I think we were kind of enemies for a little bit because we were egging each other on with our illnesses, I would say, which is really not a good thing. But we both I think Rosa's a very competitive person and I'm not competitive at heart, but I felt like I needed to be competitive. But now
You've got competitive as you've grown older.
Do you reckon? No, I'm not competitive.
Yeah, you're competitive.
No, I'm not.
You are. Yeah.
But we are very, very close now.
That's outside of this podcast argument.
Yeah. and so you just talked about illnesses. So shall we start with you, Rosa, about your kind of journey with your health that Margo just mentioned? And this was when you were younger, right? Like when you got to this quite elite level of sport?
Yeah. So I've always been since a young age I've always been into food, and like as a kid I loved, baking and writing down recipes and cooking with the family. And I think I just had this genuine appreciation and love for food back then. But it changed when I became a competitive runner. So I represented New Zealand at the World Championships in Beijing, and I had a few national records, and I became a high-performance New Zealand carded athlete in 3,000-metre steeplechase. And behind all the results and the travel and the amazing experience I was having, I was actually falling apart inside. And a lot of it stemmed from my training obsession. So I always say my training obsession is what started first, and then that stemmed my eating disorder. And I started overtraining, losing weight, started thinking I'm actually really looking like a runner now. And as my results were getting better, I was fueled by my results, and everything was centered around running, and that was it pretty much. And the country loved it. My coach loved it. High Performance New Zealand loved it. But in amongst all that as well, I was putting so much pressure on myself physically and mentally. And I just, I was a 16-year-old female whose body was trying to go through puberty at the time. So my weight dropped to 41 kgs at the age of 16, and my body fat percentage hit 5.1%. So for a normal menstruating female, that needs to be up around that 18-20%. So I was down at 5.1.
Wow.
And so I'd never got my period before until I was 21.
Wow.
Which is really late in the piece for a normal female. And the reason why that obviously didn't happen because my body fat percentage was so low, and that I was just not eating enough, constantly training my body to the absolute max and not giving it a break.
How did you start to recover from that? Like, was it somebody stepping in and saying you can't go on like this, or did it come from you? I would never have like this pinnacle point where it was like an aha moment, like I need to sort my shit out. A big part of it was the injuries. Like I got a lot of stress fractures, one after the other, and they were quite serious stress fractures. I got diagnosed with a condition called RED-S, which stands for Relative Energy Deficiency in Sport, and it's a combination of amenorrhea, low bone density, and low energy availability. So I had the bones of like a 70-year-old
at the age of 16. And all these kind of events started happening, such as the stress fracture, the diagnosis. And it wasn't until I got a really great support team around me who kind of realized the seriousness of what my body was going through and the point that it was at, that we started kind of making a plan. And I think my big thing was that I had a support team who I trusted, and that took a while for me to get, because I always thought, oh, well, you don't understand. Like, you're not a high performance athlete. So I had an amazing endocrinologist based in Christchurch, and she pretty much changed my outlook on, what I was doing with my body and how I was treating it, and just understood and listened to me and my story and my feelings and emotions around it. And that totally transformed the way in how I looked at my situation and what I needed to do to get out of it. So yeah, it was a big, long recovery process. And a huge part of that as well was talking about my journey, not straight away, but when I was starting to get to a point where I felt like I was nearly on the other side of it. And I then realized, actually, I'm not the only one going through this. Like, there's so many males, females, athletes, non-athletes who are struggling with body image, body weight, and are just being hard on ourselves and putting so much pressure on what we look like and how we feel. So that's where the talking was super helpful for me. And I then went on and did a degree in human nutrition to learn more about the body and the importance of fueling my body properly. And that was huge for me to understand. I'm such an inquisitive person, and I love to know why. Why is this nutritionist telling me to eat more? And why is this nutritionist or sports psychologist telling me to rest? And that was quite a revolution for me, I would say, figuring out the body. Even learning about the menstrual cycle, I feel like when we know why something's happening, we accept things a lot easier.
You must have had to have gone through some massive mental shifts during that time. Can you remember what that was like? What was a really big mental shift? Because it requires releasing a lot of control, like you're in a really highly controlled state when you're in that much control of your body, and it's physical performance or output, or what you're asking from it, and what you're choosing to put into it, and then what you're determining is okay and not okay. So how did you manage to sort of release that grip to a degree?
It took a long time. For example, just even to learn to run again for enjoyment. But to Raw Sisters, the transition from being a high performance athlete and having that identity, which I'd known for 10 years, and that was all people knew me as Rosa the runner. And that's all I got asked about is, how's your running going? What's the next comp coming up? What are you qualifying for next? And all of a sudden I didn't have that identity anymore. And I felt like I had failed in that area of my life because I hadn't got to where I wanted to get to. And the big part of that was just my body literally was breaking down, and I couldn't continue the way I was, because my future wasn't going to look the way it is right now. And yeah, that transition into the business and becoming, I always saw myself as, I wanted to be a role model that people could look up to. And having that idea in my head helped with my recovery and helped me change my mindset around being Rosa the runner and how I looked after my body and how I treated my body. And as I said, through the talking, I realized a lot of people were going through what I was going through, and that I wanted to now be that role model that people could feel like they could come to for support and to relate to. So that was a huge part of my mind shift.
It sounds like it's kind of common for young athletes who are under so much pressure, not just physically, but psychologically as well. And it feels like there should be some better support systems just to make sure that it's not getting too extreme, because 16 is so young, right? It's so young. And so do you hope that all of these organizations that were working with you at the time, whilst like I'm not saying anything bad about them, but, could have possibly got carried away in how well you were doing and forgot that you're 16 years old and you're a well-rounded person with other things as well, rather than just running, and could have checked in more with how you were going well-being wise.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it's improved so much since I was there, and I think, my journey was probably a big point of a realization point for them in terms of, this has happened once and we don't want it to happen again. And I feel like there's been lots of feedback, like I've given lots of feedback and kind of talked them through my situation. And, I don't understand why you're dropping me as a carded athlete when what I'm trying to do right now is, improve my health and get my period. But yet, because I'm not performing and running the best I've ever felt, you think you can just drop me like that and leave me in the dust. And
man, it's brutal, isn't it?
Yeah, and talking about my emotions and feelings around that and how I don't feel that's ethical and the right thing for them to do. So, yeah, and just again, through talking about it, that's kind of created a bit more of a voice around it, and for people to feel like young female athletes to feel like they can be heard.
And do you find that now some of the, do you ever feel some of those feelings ever coming back of like wanting to control the environment around you with food or exercise or anything like that? Or are you pretty good at just putting it in the past?
I always say I don't feel like it, like an eating disorder, training obsession. It never goes away. It's always there, but you learn how to manage it. And I always say I've got tools in my toolbox to manage it when those thoughts and feelings come up. And, normally they come up when I'm feeling more emotional. So it might be when I'm menstruating and, or I might be a bit sick and I might just feel a bit blah within myself, or my mental health's not so great. And the big thing is that I've got those tools to flip my mindset around, and that just gets better and better as time goes on. But no, I never feel like you fully recover. And I think that almost puts so much pressure on people to kind of get themselves to a point, and that they never reach that pinnacle point of being completely over it. Yeah, it's kind of just letting go a little bit and knowing it's fine if you have a shit day. Like, we all have shit days, and we all have times where we feel like we're fat and that we're lousy and we need to go out for a run, but actually deep down you might need to be resting your body instead, and it's about acknowledging that and accepting that.
Well, and I think that's where the education comes in on, like what you were saying, Rosa, the menstrual cycle. When you understand what's going on in your body and why you might be feeling this way, you actually give yourself a lot more grace.
And it's just little things like talking about, where so many people are consumed around, calories and what their plate looks like, and taking things away rather than adding things. And I always say to a lot of people who are struggling with, eating disorders or disordered eating, look at your plate and think, what can I add rather than what can I take away? And look at food as a way to fuel your body to enable you to do, not only the daily functional things that happen 24/7, but the extra things like playing with your kids or going to work or going to the gym or going for a walk outside. Like, what can you add to your plate to help you feel your best to do those things?
And Margo, you also had a significant health journey as well. So you were diagnosed with chronic fatigue when you were younger, which I understand is a quite misunderstood diagnosis. Can you explain your journey and how you got that diagnosis and what that was like for you?
Yeah, of course. So I got diagnosed with chronic fatigue when I was 16. And chronic fatigue is like a very intense version of glandular fever, or a lot of people may have heard of long COVID. It sounds kind of quite similar to that. But I was bedridden for the best part of 2 years and would walk 50 meters and just be absolutely wiped out for the rest of the day. And yeah, it was an interesting one, like being so young, being in bed, depression set in, 5 years of health professionals telling me there was nothing I could do. It was just a rest and get over it situation. So it wasn't until I met this lady, I was in the States, and it was kind of right person, right time. And she said, have you ever focused on gut health? And I always say it's very much a buzzword now, but I hadn't really heard of it before. And I did this, it's called the body ecology diet, but I see it as a form of medical treatment. It's not a diet because there was no treatment for chronic fatigue. So this was my form of treatment. And anyway, within 3 months, my chronic fatigue had pretty much disappeared. And that was just so crazy to me because it wasn't expensive specialists, it wasn't expensive supplements, it was simply just eating cheap whole ingredients in their natural form. So that experience kind of gave me the education that I felt I couldn't not share to other people because I heard so many other people going through the same thing. And even now I feel like it's more readily diagnosed. A lot of people are saying they have chronic fatigue, or a lot of people say, oh, I'm really tired, I'm really stressed. And like those are very similar symptoms, but it's obviously very different with chronic fatigue. But I kind of felt this sense of I had reached this rock bottom point and hadn't listened to my body, yet it was screaming at me. So I was never into food. Like food was never on my career path. I've always been quite a creative person or kind of a techie person. So it was never on my radar. But as I said, I felt such a calling for this because it had helped me so much. And yeah, that's kind of why I wanted to do what I wanted to do, and to help people not reach that rock bottom point and to educate people on that food confidence so that they can do what they know they should do, such as eating more fruits and vegetables, but in a way that's actually really enjoyable, which comes back to what Rosa was talking about with the disordered eating and, you know, making it not overwhelming and making it fun.
Mm. And was there anything that you were doing, don't want to use the word really wrong, but I'm just like, what were you eating leading into the chronic fatigue? Or, you know, how did it manifest? Were you just like, was it like a diet of fruit roll-ups or something? Or, you know, and Coke? Or like, how is there, you know, were there ways that really set your body off on the wrong track?
No, there wasn't. It was, I'd always had quite a standard eating. You know, I was a 16-year-old girl. I wouldn't say I was eating highly processed food at all. I think it was more, I was on a trip overseas, on like a World Vision trip, and I came home and I'd never really recovered from my jet lag. But in blood tests, it had shown that I had previously had glandular fever, which I was unaware of. So I think it was just an onset of that where I hadn't let my body rest. And it was just a classic case of like complete and utter burnout, I think. And that's why I think it's a much more common illness now, because so many of us are just absolutely working ourselves into the ground and burning out and not having those supportive tools to maintain that optimal sense of well-being.
Yeah, that's so true. And even now, there's still so much misunderstanding around chronic fatigue. Like I was talking to a family member recently, and chronic fatigue came up because someone I know has been diagnosed. They went, well, it's not really a thing though, is it? I was like, yes, it is a thing, you know, but still like people think it's just a little bit tired, or that burnout is just, you know, you're a bit tired and you've had a few big days, and it's like these are real physical issues that, you know, people really struggle with. So you guys do a great job of raising awareness. And
sometimes people just are so used to feeling, you know, their average level all the time, and they think, oh, it's not really much, like it's just a little bit of tiredness. But until they actually realize how much better they can feel, they're like, holy shit, I was actually really exhausted and tired, but my body's just on constant stress mode, which I'm just used to now.
But then chronic fatigue is so different to that.
Yeah.
It's not just that, which I think is what makes it so hard for people suffering with it, is because everyone's tired, but it's so everyone thinks they understand, but it's so different. But yeah, I think it's interesting as we look at our paths. Like, you know, I came from a sense of being exhausted and overwhelmed and not knowing where to start and needed a simple place to start to get better. Whereas Rosa came from an obsessive train of thought and needed to learn to let go and needed permission to have a healthier framework. And I think it's quite interesting because a lot of us will relate to both or one of those things to some degree. And it's about the education of showing, like, I mean, most of our audience are women. And I think women tend to be a bit more skewed to these paths in some way, shape or form. But I think it's just simplifying food in a world that is just overcomplicating feeling well.
Oh, that's so true. And before I move on to my next question, I just want to make an observation. So this year, I think this is really common for women especially, of just being underfueled, just generally underfueled, not eating enough for whatever reason that is. Maybe it's trying to lose weight or whatever it is. But I found at the start of this year, I was really tired all the time. And I felt pretty shit, like really hard to get up in the morning. But then I had this realization, and it sounds really silly when I say it out loud because it's so obvious, but I would skip meals all the time just because I was busy. And so hence the like breakfast, making 3 different meals for 3 different children. Then I would just be like, oh, I just won't make anything for myself because I can't be bothered. You know, I'll just feed them, get them done. Maybe I'll eat later. And then during the day, I'm either with my 2-year-old Penny doing stuff with her. I feed her, make her a meal. I don't want to eat her things, her like little toddler platters. And so then I'm just like, oh, you know, I'll just have a couple of bits of cheese on a cracker and I'll just have something later. But I just never do because I can't be bothered. I'm in the kitchen so much. I'm just like, oh, I want to make another big meal and dish for myself. And then I just had this light bulb moment of just like, well, where do I expect the energy to come from? Like it has to come from what I'm eating. And even just after maybe a month of being really disciplined about just eating enough, like not perfectly, but just enough. It makes such a difference.
This is such a common thing we see every day. People are time poor. People are really struggling with decision fatigue. Like you said, they're making so many meals throughout the day, and the thought of adding one more is just a no-go zone. So this is where we created our Intelligently Lazy system to help with that and to show people that by actually having this food confidence and this organization confidence that you can actually like save yourself so much time. Something that seems so unachievable is all of a sudden very genuinely achievable.
Yeah.
And that starts like what Rosa said, prep your breakfast on a Sunday. Make a big batch. That's one decision that you've made for the whole week so you can forget about it. And then a snack, make one snack once a week. So that's the snack decision done. When 3 p.m. hits and you really need that little slump pick me up, it's there, you grab it, eat it, happy. Kids can eat it. Mums, dads can eat it. Everyone's happy. And then always make enough dinner for lunch the next day. So you're already making
don't
dinner.
Eat it all, you know? That's the
but
thing.
we've got
make it more and then eat it.
I have a tip for that. So yeah, like I said, you're already making dinner, so make a little more. And before you serve it, put enough for lunch in a container for you the next day. You cook it, you deserve the leftovers.
Or even like if there is like, because that doesn't also happen every night. And when it doesn't happen, like there's nothing wrong with a bit of sourdough bread, or if you're gluten-free, bit of gluten-free bread with some poached eggs or avocado, tomato. Like that's my full go-to when I actually don't have anything, but I still know I need to fuel myself well because I feel so much better for it.
And then what's so great about that is the only food decision you're having to make is dinner. And you can get excited about it, and you can get a bit more creative, and that's kind of what we've really tried to do with our food confidence platform and the app especially is to help people get inspired with what they already have at home and to give them the confidence that you don't need to go to the supermarket if you're missing one ingredient. You can swap and change with what you have at home, type in the search bar what veggie you have or what grain you have, or cool, we want noodles tonight, type in noodles. And then that just again reduces the decision fatigue down. And it just makes it fun.
Yeah.
And I think
that's so great, eh?
With kids as well, like a revolution for me was that they can actually eat what we're eating as well. And I start with, okay, what does Rupert and I want for dinner? And then from there, it's like, okay, well, how can I make that kid friendly and like split it up for them, or, you know, make it into a platter situation that they're happy with.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, doesn't happen all the time where they love it, but
yeah.
Hey.
Well, I wonder if there is a family out there that started off straight away of just feeding their kid what they ate, and that's the only thing that they have done. Because I'm like, my kids like F all. They really they don't like much, you know, and so we've got a really limited like palette to work with.
How do you do your dinners?
Well, like, we all eat the same thing, but now what I'm finding is that what we cook becomes a little bit more limited, just because I want them to like it, I want them to eat it, but then I get a bit of resentment because I'm like, I don't want that. You know, I want something more interesting.
That's annoying when they do that too.
Oh my God, it kills me. And so then we're just bringing in a few more interesting things. And I did actually see, for anyone listening who is struggling with this as well, I did actually see a little tip on Instagram. Somebody said, when you're cooking it, like if you're cooking something kind of new and different and your kids are like, what's that on the stove? You say, come here and try a little bit of this dinner, but only a little bit. You're only allowed a little bit. And so then they have a little bit and you remain completely impartial and just look at them, and then they tell you like, yum. And you go, okay. And then you keep cooking, then you give it to them later. And apparently something about that, saying that they can only try a little bit and then no emotion at all, has won every time for this person on Instagram. So I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to give it a try.
I think
that is a good one.
I definitely think, as you said, like if you're making something they either don't like or they haven't seen before, like actually showing them like, look, try some of this. Like we're mixing it into here, and then they know that they kind of have tasted it before. It's not foreign to them.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's tricky.
It is tricky. And just when you think you've cracked something, they'll come up with something new. So how did you turn like your inspiration and experiences and all of your education into Two Raw Sisters and realize, you know, this is actually a business with a future?
I think when people started telling us that we were changing their lives, I think was when we thought, oh shit, maybe there's something here.
The business has evolved a lot since we've been in it for nearly 7 years now. We started off with workshops, and I feel like that was a really good way to connect with people and to teach them how to cook and how to make cooking fun. And we still do workshops to this day. But yeah, the business and the brand has evolved from like predominantly workshops, cookbooks, to now we predominantly focus on our recipe app. And it's a resource that, as we've talked about, gives people the food confidence, gives people inspiration, motivation to just give them a head start into what to cook for dinner, for their breakfast, for their snack. And Margo and I, even though we created the product for us to use first and foremost, because that's what we were looking for and that's what we were missing. And then from hearing people's feedback and having our subscribers on board and our community grow, it's so cool to see that it's changing and transforming people's lives and giving people that, just reigniting that love for cooking again and for, you know, cooking delicious food that doesn't have to be overwhelming and complicated.
Oh, it's so true.
Showing them, it's just so, like when you take that intelligently lazy system framework into it, it's actually so simple, like so simple. And no matter where in your journey you are, like whether you're at complete rock bottom on Rosa's path or my path, or you're kind of somewhere in the middle, you're a busy mum and you just are feeling overwhelmed by meal times, we meet you where you're at and give you an insanely simple start. And that's always been such a huge motivator for us, is not being aspirational, being realistic.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I think you guys are really good at just bringing in really great flavors as well, because I think like when you're trying to cook simple, healthy food, it needs to be delicious for you to want to cook it again or to put the effort in again. And your salad cookbook is still like, so good. It's so good. Because I'm just like, I'm just not a salad person. And so I need all the inspiration I can get. It's so good. What are your guys' thoughts? Because I've heard you both talk about the wellness industry before, and I think at the moment it's really noisy, right? There's like social media tells us what we need to be doing. We need to have red light therapy. We need to have a sauna 3 times a week. We've got to be eating this. We've got to be removing this from our diet. This is causing inflammation, blah, blah. So for those people who are interested in wellness and want to be their best selves, how do you recommend cutting through that overwhelm and knowing what to listen to?
Removing all that bullshit and stop comparing yourself to what the next person is doing.
I think all those things like the saunas and the ice baths, like they're a great addition, but for a lot of us that's so unrealistic. Like I live in the country, I don't have an ice bath or a sauna within an hour of where I live, and it's expensive and time. Like where the hell do I fit that in my day? And I don't want people to start thinking that if I don't do those things that I've got to go specifically to, like the massage, the ice bath, the sauna, that's costing me money that I can't quite afford. I don't want them to think, well, I'm not healthy then. It's just a waste of time. Like I can't do anything at all. I might as well just keep eating my ultra-processed food and just kind of feel average. Whereas there's things people can implement right now, such as prepping their breakfast on a Sunday, making enough dinner for their lunches that don't necessarily cost them anything, and educating people that you can you've got everything in your fridge and your pantry that you need. It's just a matter of seeing it and discovering what you can make with it. Like all that stuff ends up actually saving people money rather than, costing people money.
That's so true. And then we overlook the fundamentals, don't we? Like getting enough sleep, getting sunshine, the things of like things that we're just learning, like every half an hour or so, just looking outside to the horizon line for a couple of minutes so you're not staring at your screen the whole day.
And quite often it's actually what I've discovered is our bodies are on, like we go most of the day. Some things we do are stressful, and what our bodies actually need is just rest, like slower forms of movement and more mindful activities rather than overstimulating our body in other ways or stressing about not getting to the sauna or not getting to the ice bath or
even like I always just love this example. Like if you think you've had a really hectic day and then you rush to a high intensity interval training session and then you rush home, your body probably just needs a nice calm walk outside in nature.
Yeah.
And I think it's just, as Rosa said, it's just simplifying it all back and not having a all or nothing mindset.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. And then depending on the type of person you are as well, like if you're like a type A, more sort of like go sort of person, then is high intensity for you, or maybe something a little bit more chill would be good to balance that out, or maybe if you're the opposite, maybe high intensity would be good, to get a bit more.
And I feel like there's different parts of our life where we might have time and the money to do those extra things, and becoming a mum and I'm only a mum to one, and becoming a mum to one has definitely reduced the capacity of, things that I have time to do for myself. And so when I have the time to do something for myself, I make sure it's really intentional and it's something my body actually wants, not that I'm making my body do. So I feel like when you've got that small amount of time, if that's something you've only got compared to, a whole afternoon, it's going to the fundamentals, not necessarily the things that are, is that thing actually important, and is it worth
what I really like doing, and I heard this like maybe 2 years ago, what are your non-negotiables throughout the day? Like for me, I have to move my body for like 30 minutes, but however that movement looks will depend on how I'm feeling that day. But move my body, get outside, have a coffee with Will, like all these things that become my daily moments of joy or my daily non-negotiables that allow me to, like, I'm not a mum, but for a lot of your listeners, that will allow you to be a good mum, will allow you to be a good partner. And when you are at home, you're actually the version of yourself that you want to be, rather than a scattered, frustrated, short, snappy version that's actually not enjoying life as much as you could if you 100%. Just simply listened to your body.
So Rosa, you've got a little one now, and is there anything that surprised you about motherhood as you've gone through that transition and settled into what now is a very, very busy period of motherhood?
Yeah, I suppose for me, I've always been such an independent person, and I, got up and I could do my morning routine that I really wanted to do, and that was what I did every single day. Moved my body, sat down and had my breakfast, went to work, had my coffee, whereas now this other person depends on me and life evolves around them. And sometimes, or majority of our mornings, like we always have our wee joy moments through the day where we sit down and have breakfast together, and we try and do that once, at least, one meal a day. But yeah, like, I don't have time for a lot of the other things I used to have time for, and it's learning to be okay with that and know that that's just a part of my life where I'm just having to put my children first a lot of the time, but know that that still doesn't mean that I can't look after myself and feel my body well and move my body at the same time. So it's just picking those little moments and being intentional with how I use those moments.
Did you have to, were you affected by mother's guilt, and did you have to find a way to go, okay, no, I'm actually can give myself permission for this for these reasons?
Yeah, I had really bad mother guilt. Obviously owning my own business with Margo, I didn't have maternity leave. So I went back to work within a month of having Henrietta, because that's what was kind
more
of
like
needed.
3 days, I think.
3 days. Because and it was guilt either way. I had mother guilt, but I also had guilt for not being a good present business partner as well. So, and there was nothing on Margo. That was just something that I had to deal with, that I was dealing with at the time as I transitioned into this completely new life that I was moving into. And yeah, like we travel a lot for work as well. So that mum guilt of not being there all the time. But I've worked my way through that. I feel like, again, it's something that never goes away. You just learn to know that when Het's in, the hands of her father or hands of my mum and dad or my in-laws, like I know that she's having fun, and that because I'm not there, she's not happy. That's not how it works.
Fran from Arbor Fragrance, she said, rather than feeling guilty, feel grateful that, mum and dad are looking after Het. I'm grateful for that, so that I
actually enjoy, going away for work, and it's a break for me, and I can go and focus, 100% on work. Whereas when I'm at home, it's like 50-50, trying to juggle both things. But it's, as Mark said, it's been grateful to have those opportunities where I can focus on work, but then also having those opportunities where I can be 100% a mum and not have to think about work. And it's learning to switch off on either side, which has definitely been a work in progress.
We're so hard on ourselves, aren't we?
There's so much pressure
about it. It's just it's so much internal talk.
Yeah.
Well, also because there are so many demands on modern mums, because oftentimes, not all the time, but oftentimes we're working at the same time as being a parent, and there's a lot of pressure on how to deliver and work, and then how to be a good present parent as well. And I do think that guilt serves a purpose for us as well. Like sometimes when we do feel a lot of mum guilt, we could be like, it forces you to take stock of where you're at and be like, is this like, am I on the right path right now? Could I make a change with this? Could I make a change with that? Or like if you're feeling guilty the other way around, with work or business or whatever, it kind of helps you to just stop and just think for a minute and be like, no, I am really sure of what I'm doing. Like, how do I put things in place that I'm happy with? But it is really intense. And on your point, Rosa, about like when you're doing 50-50 at the same time, I really think that is the most stressful time as a parent. And when I'm at my worst, when I'm trying to work at the same time as looking after the kids.
Oh, it doesn't work, eh?
It doesn't work. It just doesn't work, because then I find I'm real snappy because I can't focus on anything. I'm like trying to do work, but then kids are over here and they need something, and then I'm like, oh, can you just, and then I'm like, that's
and
not
then you
fair.
get angry at them.
It's not fair. Yeah. So it's, if you can, you're so right. Like if you can carve it out so that you can be 100% focused on work when you need to, and then put that aside and be 100% focused on being a parent. Like, oh, it's the holy grail if you can get there. But it is hard. It's real tricky.
It is, and that's what recently I have Wednesdays with Henrietta, and we do like swimming lessons and some activities together, and I was trying to work on those days, but I've just made a pact to myself that actually those days are our days, and I'm not going to think about work. If there's an important meeting, I can make it, but other than that, I'm not going to think about work or put any pressure on myself to get anything done, because as you said, it just turns into an absolute shit show, and you end up more stressed than what you need to be, and it's just not worth it.
Yeah, it is not worth it.
By the end of the day, work can actually wait. Like this, my kids are important to me right now on this day, and work can just wait till tomorrow. No one's chasing you. You're the only one that's chasing yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. We are the predator and the prey at the same time.
Yeah, we just need to be kinder to ourselves sometimes.
It's 100%. So true. It's so true. Well, I noticed, the other week, I think I dusted about $500 over the course of the week at the supermarket. Like, grocery bills are skyrocketing. It wasn't massive extravagances. There wasn't nice wine and smoked salmon and fillet steak. Like, it was just feeding like family of 4 and lunch boxes and the whole shebang. So, like, what are tips for organising the food shop so we're not spending a massive fortune?
Swapping ingredients for sure.
Yeah. I think for me, how I normally do it, again, like the good thing for me is that I don't live right next to a supermarket, so I have to plan my week out. And if I'm lucky, I get to go back to the supermarket once in that week.
You've got to do the big shop.
Country life.
Yeah, but I reckon that saves me so much money.
It would.
But I will, as we've talked about, choose like 4 breakfasts that will rotate and prep throughout the week, so I know if I run out of options, I've got ingredients in the fridge to prep something else. So I'll choose 4 options. We'll make a couple of snacks for the freezer to use through the week, and then on the app we've got a really cool function where you can save recipes in a folder. So I'll make like a dinners folder for the week, and every day I kind of feel like something different, and it just depends on the day. So I just make a pool of recipes of dinners that we're going to make sometime during that week. And I'll make sure I've got ingredients for that recipe in the pantry, in the freezer, in the fridge. And I'll always look at what I can substitute if I've already got something at home. And then I know I've got everything I need to make these 7 meals. I've got everything I need to make my 2 snacks and my 4 breakfasts, and I shouldn't have to go back again.
But I think a good thing, though, like do that and then go to the supermarket, and you might want to make these eggplant sesame noodles that we have on the app, and you might think, oh shit, eggplants are $10 each. I'm not going to do that, but there's broccoli that's $1 each, so I'll swap eggplant for broccoli. And once you start getting that seasonal, like eating and buying seasonally, and using what you have at home, like the recipe might call for udon noodles, but you've got rice noodles at home. So rather than buying udon, just use the rice noodles that you already have. So starting to think like that, a lot of our users say they just instantly halve their grocery bill by changing that mindset shift and knowing that you can use a recipe as a guideline and it'll still taste just as delicious if you swapped the eggplant for broccoli.
Shit's so expensive. It's probably still going to be $500. Sorry, Hannah.
Well, do you know what?
Crazy.
You know what really bumps it up? I know that sounds wild, but I was like, that week I did have to like top up all of the cat food and dog food and those little bastards.
And it's all like little things like laundry powder and dishwashing and toilet paper and handy towels and all that stuff. But it's hard. Everything's expensive, and to make you feel better, mine's about that price as well. So
thank God. Yeah. Okay, great. Cool.
I'm not going to tell you what mine has been because it's astronomical. It's astronomical. And it's because we go to the supermarket every day, which is just like insane, So Rosa, I feel very empowered now. And Margo, I'm like, right, okay, I'm gonna plan a shop.
If you go every week, maybe you could strip that down to like 3 times a week. Not being like, right, well, I can't go all week. I'm so going to go once. Like,
yeah.
And even if there's that bloody cabbage that's been looking at you for 2 weeks.
Getting sadder. Yeah.
Or those limp carrots, like you can still make something really delicious with that. And a lot of people ask us, how do you get your recipe inspiration? It's actually from that limp bag of carrots. That cabbage or that uninspiring can of chickpeas, all you need to do is just like type that in the search bar, and then all of the delicious recipes will come up, and you'll go from feeling so uninspired to all of a sudden being like, oh my God, there are so many ways I can use this.
I see it as a bit of a challenge. Like today, for example, I need to go to the supermarket, but I just don't have time to go to the supermarket.
I'm not inspired by my fridge.
And I can't be bothered. It's my husband's birthday. I'm like, right, I need to whip up like something that's going to be somewhat yum. And
crispy potatoes, and he'll be happy.
Yeah, I looked in my pantry. I've got some potatoes. Looked in my fridge. I was like, I've got a bit of cabbage, carrots, a bit of silver beet. I was like, I'll make up a really yum like creamy coleslaw situation with the yum aioli. I was like, sweet. I don't have to go to the supermarket. I've got what I need in the fridge right now.
Wow, that's going to be me. That's going to be me. Just give me a couple of weeks, and I'm going to be. I've got a new haircut, and I'm going to be a new person in the kitchen.
But yeah, I think as Rosa said, just start small and don't feel like you have to do everything, because then all of a sudden it won't feel achievable for you, and you'll be like, I've got to do all these things, and they said it was easy, and it's not easy.
Little bits at a time.
Bullshit, those two.
Yeah.
So if people listening are wondering, like, how can I get more of this help, more of this wisdom, how can they find all the things that you guys are putting out into the world?
You can find our Two Real Sisters podcast on any platform. You can get a free trial on the Two Real Sisters app. You can head to App Store or Google Play and download that and give that a go. Obviously, our socials, our handle on all socials is @2realsisters. And that's how you can find us.
Amazing.
That's amazing. Well, Rosa and Margo, thank you. We're so glad that we got you here eventually. We got there eventually.
How long has this taken? Like a year?
Yeah, easily. Time goes by so fast. But thank you so much for being here and joining us and generously sharing all your stories and ideas. And I am, in fact, feeling quite inspired. I don't know what's for dinner, but now I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah,
great.
Something exciting. Exactly. I'll get the kids to taste it while I'm cooking it. But not too much.
Only a little bit.
Only a little bit. And don't show any emotion.
No, exactly right. Especially not hope.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, guys.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
It's been amazing. Cheers, guys.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Untidy. If you enjoyed it, we'd love your support to keep making the show. The best thing you can do to help is subscribe by hitting follow in your podcast app and leaving us a little 5-star review. You can also now watch and subscribe on YouTube and check out how these millennials are keeping up with the cool kids on TikTok and the gram. Lastly, please share this podcast with your mates. It means that we can keep building this supportive community, keep giving you untidy episodes, and just keep doing what we love to do.
Don't forget to check out mybigmoments.com for kids' books that make your tricky job of parenting a whole lot easier. Untidy listeners get a discount at checkout, so just pop in Untidy for 10% off your order. Lastly, we would like to thank all of the good people who make this podcast possible. Flicker Williams and Joe Rocker at My Big Moments for the beautiful artwork and design, Maxine London Creative for editing this episode, and Lana Byrne for creating our social content. And to you, our listeners, Araha nui, take care. We'll see you soon.